These are all the leather materials for this wallet. Except for leather, we will also receive a sewing kit like this. The tools contained in the sewing kit have small clips, finger cover, a small scissor, pin and thimble. There is also a pull wire. Before sewing, we need to prepare a lighter ourselves. It will be used during the sewing process in a while. If necessary during sewing, you can put on this thimble first. Then if you feel the needle is a little slippery during the sewing process, you can wear this non-slip finger cover. You can use both of these. It depends on your personal preference. First of all, let's find the longest skein. We can't use the shorter one first. Here we take a look. It has a row of horizontal holes at this end. The other section has 3 rows of horizontal holes. We start by sewing the opposite side with a row of horizontal holes. And I found a couple of these little rectangular pieces of leather. Here we are using 2 relatively large ones. We won't use the smallest one for the time being. This smallest, it's smaller than this transparent piece. We can't use it here for the time being. This is the largest rectangle used. And this transparent piece. Let's sew it here. It corresponds to the row of holes inside this large skein. We won't sew the outermost 2 side holes for the time being. It's the inside circle. We use brown wax thread. The length of the pull wire is 5 times that of the part to be sewn. And then we thread the needle. When threading a needle, thread the needle through this hole in the needle normally. Then pull out a paragraph with the tip of a needle. So here we have a little bit of line coming out of the middle. Go through like this. Then tighten the 2 wax threads. It's fixed. The other end should also be threaded with a needle. The method is the same. When sewing here, this little leather hole, it is inconsistent with the hole position of the big skein. There is one more hole in the big skein. So we first put the first needle through this large skein alone. The second needle penetrates the first hole of the small leather, and the second hole of the large skein. Two needles are stuck into adjacent holes. Then the needle for the first hole. Go through the second hole. Go through the third hole. The needle from the second hole just went through the third hole. Go through the fourth hole. When wearing this hole, that is the third hole of the small skein. The fourth hole of the large skein, you need to add this piece when wearing it. this transparent piece. Then we sew in the order of this hole in turn. Then we sew along the hole like this. Just sew it back to the last hole in the big ladder. After the hole of a small piece of ladder is sewn, let's just sew a hole in the ladder. Just sew according to this hole position. After this ladder block is sewn, there's an empty hole in the big skin below. We also sewed this empty hole. Here he can sew a piece of skin by himself. After we sew all the holes, you need to sew 2 stitches back to fix it. Then leave the excess thread on the back of the ladder. Cut with small scissors. Pay attention when cutting the wire here. This thread is slightly left 2 or 3 millimeters. Don't cut it too short. Then use a lighter to remove this extra thread. Light burn. And that's where you sew it. Then we found these sheets of leather in this section. Find these pieces of leather. He sews it like this. The short one below corresponds to here. And here. Then this little rectangle is divided here. Here's the roll outside. Here we take 40 centimeter wax thread. Let's sew this part. We're going to sew the top row first. So here. These 2 rows of holes here are exactly the same. The same number of holes. Method of stitching. It's the one we sewed in front of us before. After sewing all the holes on both sides, sew 2 stitches backwards. Leave the excess thread on the back of the leather. Cut the wax thread and burn it with a lighter. Then find this piece. The exact same sewing method as this one. Let's sew this part. This is what it looks like after both pieces are sewn. And we find this little rectangle. Put it below. Let's put the outer circle. You still need to take a look at this big skein when sewing here. There's still one more hole on each side. That is the first and last stitches. It's all sewn separately from this big leather. The length of the wax line here. We take wax the thread of the part to be sewn. You can add this later. When you finish sewing this, add this rectangular leather. The first needle is still sewn on this large leather alone. Then the second stitch comes again with this little leather material. After sewing both holes of this card position. Next hole, let's add this little leather material. Then the holes after that are in this order. Just keep sewing. Keep sewing back here. After sewing all the holes on both sides, sew 2 stitches backwards. Then leave the extra thread on the back. Cut the wax thread and burn it. And when we finished, we found these 2 strips. Let's sew here first. 30 厘米 wax thread is enough here. Let's sew all the holes round first. After sewing the outer circle, we're leaning like this. Go through this hole diagonally. Then sew vertically. After reaching this hole, go tie another diagonal. And then the slash in the middle is fixed. After sewing, we leave this thread on the back. Then sew this in 2. Same as on the left. After these 2 are sewn, this is what it looks like. And then we're going to sew this little strip. This little strip, it's sewn here. There's a U-shaped. Let's sew. Here. Only this small part of the 2 skins overlaps. There's no overlap. We are alone, and he sewed the leather by himself. The length of the wax line here. It's 5 times the circumference of the circle. When sewing, let's first check the hole. We start with this hole in the large skin to sew. This hole corresponds to. Look at this hole in the middle first. The hole at the longest point here starts to look. The 4th hole after turning round here. So here it is. is the first hole of this one. The holes here are completely coincident. Then the second needle sticks under it. After sewing this, there are no holes in this big leather. But we still have a needle in the back. This needle on the back, we're going to put it back. And here it goes back through this hole where it came out. But here it comes out from between two pieces of leather. It came through here. Don't wear it all back. Then the hole after that, it is the small skein alone that he sewed by himself. Remember to pull this wax thread tighter at this time. Otherwise it will come loose. After that, we sew according to this hole position. Just sew this circle. Sew back here. Here we sew the last hole. Here are the two layers of leather worn together. Go through here to the big leather. Wear it back from here. We've sewn all the holes here. But here because there are two leather materials. So here we go. Sew two more holes. Then here. Pick back. Cut off the excess wax thread. Burn it with a lighter. After it's also here, we reverse it. And I find this piece of leather. Let's sew this part. This paragraph is not sewn together here. He has a gap in between. Let's sew this part. This part of the big skein corresponds to this part. Let's pay attention when sewing here. Only two layers of leather are sewn together. But before sewing, let's take a look at the hole position of this big leather first. The middle part. There are holes down here. There are no holes on it. Align the position here and then sew again. Sew a piece here, only these two. There are no holes in the big leather. Take 3 times the length of the cable. Here we are using black cable. This big leather here. There is still one more hole than the one above. So the first hole is still a separate leather material. He sews himself. And we start with the second hole in the large skin. Let's add this leather. Here's what it looks like. Then we follow the holes. Sew until the last hole. After all the holes are sewn, sew 2 stitches backwards. Cut off the excess wax thread. Burn the thread. After this part is sewn. To sew this part, it's exactly the same as the sewing method here. Still 2 layers of leather. Don't sew this big skin. It's sewn on both sides. This is what it looks like. And we're going to sew on the bottom. It still has no hole in the middle here. Or just sew this section like above. Take 3 times the length of the cable. When sewing here, let's take a look at the hole first. Or these 2 big skins. There is one more hole than the small skin above. You can also see it here. This big skin is bigger than the one above. One small skin and one more hole. So we do the first stitch. Let's prick 2 big skins first. The second stitch is connected to the 3 layers of leather material of this small leather. Align the first holes of the 2 large black skins. The side looks like this. Pay attention when sewing. This big skin must not be pierced wrong. Then we sew along the hole. Sew to the last hole. After the holes on both sides are sewn, sew 2 stitches backwards. Here we are at the end of the cut, because there is the edge of this leather. May burn here. So we took this extra wax thread. Stay on this side. Then sew this paragraph in the same way. When we sew the rest of this section, first put the 2 first holes of this large skin. Align first. The first hole should be sewn with 2 large skins first. After aligning here, it will have a bump like this. This part is there, it's normal. It doesn't matter. We follow this whole position, just continue to sew the rest. And you can take a look at the finished product. After we open the finished product, it will still have one of these grooves. This is normal. This side is also sewn, and this is what it looks like after.